Good morning and welcome to Saturday morning. It is the 13th of November today, and chilliness is upon us. More and more hoodies needing to be worn around the house as the cool air comes through the windows. And it's an old house, so it finds its way in. We move on to prayer. Jesus' teaching on prayer. This section is entitled, When You Pray. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that there are, 4 or 5 different authors they put in here to share thoughts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6. Some are very short, but still pertinent thoughts. And I think it's possible we're going to read all of them, even the very short ones, and let them stand as they are. For there is nothing more important to the life and well-being of a Christian life and the life of the church than people who pray, really pray. And these devotions are going to maybe teach us some things to have a healthy prayer life, to have a healthy relationship with God when it comes to our praying. So the verses that are quoted here to open us up, to focus our thought is, again, we're in the Sermon on the Mount. So it's in Matthew 6. We've moved on to Matthew 6. And verses 5 through 7, Jesus says, and when you pray, hear those words for ourselves. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. We're going to listen to Karl Barth this morning. Karl is no longer with us. He was 1886 to 1968, a Swiss Reformed theologian. So you'll get a couple mentions of John Calvin in these thoughts. It is not permissible to consider prayer as a good work to be done, as a pious, nice, and pretty duty to be performed. Prayer cannot be for us a means of creating something, of making a gift to God and to ourselves. We are in the position of persons who can only receive. We are obliged to speak now to God, since they have no one else whom they can address. Luther has said that we must all be destitute, for we are faced by a great void and have everything to receive and learn from God. We talk about this a lot in our prayer meetings on Wednesday night, how often our prayers seem to be accompanied by instructions on how God ought to answer the prayers. Prayer as a human act cannot be a gossiping, a series of phrases or mumblings. Prayer must be an act of affection. It is more than a question of using the lips, for God asks the allegiance of our hearts. If the heart is not in it, if it is only a form which is carried out more or less correctly, what is it then? Nothing. All prayers offered solely by the lips are not only superfluous, but they are also displeasing to God. They are not only useless, but they are offensive to God. At this point, it is also important to remark with Calvin that prayer uttered in a language that we do not understand or which the congregation at prayer does not understand is a mockery to God, a perverse hypocrisy, for the heart cannot be in it. We must think and speak in a comprehensible tongue, in a language which has meaning for us. Let our prayer not be offered according to our good pleasure. Otherwise, there would be then on our part inordinate desires. Let it be patterned after the rule given by the one who knows our needs better than we know ourselves. God has directed us first to submit ourselves to Him in order that we may present our requests, so that we may so that we may conform to this order. We must eliminate in our prayers all questions like this: does God listen to us? On this point, Calvin is categorical. Such a prayer is not a prayer. Doubt is not permitted, for it goes without saying that we shall be heard. Even before we pray, we must assume the attitude of someone who has been heard. I think that some might take issue with the no questions allowed part of this devotion today, but I like the fact that Karl Barth points us to our neediness. The reason we come to God in prayer is to ask for His help, because we're unable. Jesus says we need to even ask for our daily bread, doesn't He? Even the simple things. Instead of coming to God as equals, which we are not, we need to come to God as dependent children and make our requests known, because we have everything to receive and learn from God our Father. Blessings to you today.